What does being divorced 46 as a single mom look like? Because I don't know how I got here. And I'm finally seeing things clearly. I don't have answers, but I got boundaries.
This is my violin.
And my maybe has become no. My I'm fine has become I ain't doing that.
It's just wild to me to watch grown-ass women figure out high school level shit when they're about to hit their menopause. Like, it just it never ceases to amaze me.
And somehow, this part of my life feels like the most honest I have ever seen.
All right, family, I'm going to have to ask someone to come to the front of the congregation that I don't believe that we've ever had to the front of the congregation before. And that person goes by the name of Jeannie Mai. Now, Jeannie Mai rose in popularity, or at least I know her from media syndication of the show The Real. That show was similar to The View, where it was essentially four cackling women talking to a majority female audience during the day. They would just talk about women topics, right? Not for my eyes, but there was a couple of viral clips that came from them, which we're going to go over here in a quick second. Nevertheless, Jeannie Mai was married to the realest ninja in it. You already know he got Trapper of the Year 4 times in a row. Young Jeezy himself. And inevitably got divorced. She recently took to her YouTube page to talk about what her life is like as a 46-year-old, 2 times married, 2 times divorced, single mother of a 3-year-old child. And the content that she released is fascinating. So we need to dissect it. We need to go through it to see what are the lessons learned out of all of this. Now, remember those clips that I said that went viral not too long ago?
But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I married white man. That's what I like.
Hold up. What do you mean, dark meat on the side?
Because she lightweight offensive. I am
No,
going
I'm
to
not.
hush.
I'm saying, like, I really do think black men are attractive. I do. Like, that's my...
Well, what do you mean, dark meat on the side?
That means, honey.
You know what that means.
Now that clip went viral where at that point she was married to her husband of 10 years, talking about dark meat on the side. And after she eventually initiated divorce against her husband, this went viral.
To this day, I mean it honestly. He's the best man I know.
We love Freddie. We love
He really
Freddie.
is. I married him because he's like my dad. He's very loyal, very compassionate, so funny, an awesome guy. And in our 13 years of being together, there was never any lies, no betrayal, no cheating, nothing.
Now, if I was to guess, I would say that the divorce was predicated on the foundation of wanting children at that portion of her life. She was a career-oriented woman and didn't want life interrupted by motherhood. The man that she divorced currently has children. On her second attempt of getting married, is about a year or so into it, and then they had their child, but inevitably breaking up. Now, they've been relatively private since the divorce. I know Jeezy has spoken about lessons that he's learned post-marriage.
What did you learn from it?
I learned I was a great husband. I got a beautiful daughter out of a situation, so there's no regrets there. But I learned a lot about myself. I learned that there's things that I continue to work on. I learned about, my preferences for things, the type of space that I need, the type of moments that I need to decompress about certain things, and this unselfish nature, that I was selfish in my prior life. And I think just going forward in life, it just taught me how to give someone else grace and actually listen to understand rather than just to listen to reply.
But I find it so interesting to hear the words that Jeezy utilizes to talk about the marriage versus Jeannie.
I didn't notice that I had a hot temper until I got with Jeezy. And here's a person who is my equal and I really respect. And when I would spew some of my old habits, and he was like, who? That's not flying here.
Well, anyway, I've caught you guys all up enough. Let's go over to her YouTube channel to listen to her thoughts. Now, I will also say her content is not created for dudes, so it relies on this softness, tenderness, this woe is me, victim bullshit. So Ignore all of that because we're going to be dissecting her words, which are very important. Without further ado.
What does being divorced 46 as a single mom look like? Because I don't know how I got here. But here I am. I notice whenever anybody asks me, are you married? Or are you single? Or how old are you? Or any of these labels that people tend to ask you about when it comes to your status, your age. I always say it so slowly because I'm still adjusting to however the world labels me. It's not a bad thing. It's just an adjustment. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. Everything suddenly looks honest. Even the
Jeezy never has to take a DNA test. Holy moly. I look just like him.
putting on a new pair
Oh, that's crazy.
of glasses. Everything
That's wild.
suddenly looks honest. Even the parts that I wasn't ready to see. Sometimes the clarity is really refreshing and sometimes it's a little jarring. But the truth is, I am now looking at the world with my own eyes, rather than eyes that I feel pretended to see what I wanted to see instead of what I was really seeing.
All right, god damn it. Sorry, guys. It's clear to me when I do this content is like there's certain content out there that are made for women's eyes only, right? Like, and as a guy, I feel like I'm intruding a little bit and hearing all of this eyes wide open now because after divorce and having a child, now I can just see everything. So clearly, it's not about what the world puts upon me. It's about what I think. You're 46 years old. At what point were you not supposed to figure this shit out on your own? It's just wild to me to watch grown-ass women figure out high school level shit when they're about to hit damn menopause. Like, it just it never ceases to amaze me. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off. But they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now. But this is just the reality of just so many of these modern women today, and especially these aging modern women. Now, I will say, just like black don't crack, Asian don't raisin. She looks fantastic for 46 years old. Let's call a spade a spade. But I bet you attention was a lot more easier when she was at 26. Shit, even 36. More doors open, more men flooding her DMs. But time will do what time always does. It don't wait and stop for no person. When them looks start to fade, them opportunities will start to dry up. You're no longer the center stage of every room that you walk into. And reality will hit you like a semi. Let's keep listening.
Or maybe a red snapper.
Go.
When I look back at some of the milestones of my last couple years, it feels like I had a playbook that I was living by. Almost feels like I had a script that I was living by because I so wanted to hit those points and have my life be about those things instead of what it really was. I used to think that if I stayed ahead of the plan, worked hard enough, if I held everything together tightly enough, I could avoid crashing. But I realized life doesn't work like that. Life interrupts. Life enjoys a little head-on collision. And my job is to keep moving instead of pretending I didn't feel the impact. Divorce
Damn,
is
no
a
mattress,
word you
baby
never
girl.
imagine attached to your name.
Box spring, rather.
Not because you're special, but because you think you'll know how to save something before it breaks. As a divorcee, you're always seeing people say, what are the things that they warn you about before divorce happens, you know? The one thing I can tell you is that nobody tells you that divorce is both earth-shattering and a wake-up call. It's because the life that you pictured disappears and the future you actually need starts talking to you. And the hardest part about divorce isn't heartbreak. It's letting go of the woman I performed, the version of me that I maintained, because I was scared to admit the truth. The dream I kept dragging even after it stopped fitting.
Sorry.
And then one day you realize you're not broken. You're just finally honest, and honesty is heavy.
I'm sorry. I have a strong feeling that my world's tiniest violin is going to come out at some point in this video. But it just fascinates me, especially when you can combine her admissions to having a hot temper as you watch her production team paint this picture of beautiful womanhood as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and shit plays in the background. But notice the constant reference to a new version of herself. And that new version is the realization that you are now an older woman, single mother, 2x divorced. And because of the inability to fix whatever led to both divorces, you find yourself out there in a world that values youthful beauty that will turn into instant male validation. You can no longer utilize that, as you're also utilizing that time to mother over a new human. This is the start of, and I hope she doesn't go down this path of where you begin to hear older women talk about decentering men.
I got divorced at 53 years old after an 18-year marriage. And there have been plenty of times post-divorce where I've kind of lamented the fact that I spent so many years in a bad marriage. Why didn't I get a divorce sooner? I wish I was younger when I got the divorce. Now I'm realizing that at 53 years old, this was the perfect time for me to have gotten a divorce. Because at 53, I am no longer the focus of male attention.
Listen to the cope.
And because
Watch.
I'm no longer the focus of male attention, I'm no longer seeking male validation. When I was a teenage girl and I started getting attention from boys and men, I kind of found myself on this hamster wheel.
Yeah, that's your drug.
Of wanting attention because the attention made me feel good. It made me feel pretty. It made me feel smart. It made me feel confident in myself. It was just a very slippery slope from receiving attention to actively seeking male validation. What a man thought about.
Listen, crack to a crackhead is validation to an unhealed modern woman.
Me
Avoid
mattered.
them like the plague.
Because eventually it was going to lead to a man choosing me to be his wife. And once I was chosen as a wife, I could relax. I could just finally be myself because I was going to have this man who loved me and accepted me for who I truly was. But once I got into an actual marriage, I found out I was still on that hamster wheel. I was still seeking attention from my husband, seeking his validation, seeking his time. It just never ended. Now that I'm divorced and I'm 53 years old and I'm no longer receiving the attention from men that I used to get, I feel like the world looks different. I feel like I can make decisions with a clear mind because the only person that I'm thinking about is myself. I'm not thinking about what a man wants from me, what a man needs from me. And that goes for like big decisions to like even small decisions about like what I wear or how I do my hair. I'm just doing everything for myself. And there's just a freedom in that. If I had gotten divorced earlier, even when I was like in my early 40s, I don't know if I would have been able to be in this space right now. I think I still might have been in the place of seeking male attention and male validation. I would have gotten myself into the same trap.
Listen to the way that she frames this through her cope of her situation of no longer receiving the gaze from men is that she spent her whole life imprisoned by the male gaze. Like it was men that, that forced her to love this attention and to center her life around that. That has nothing to do with men. There is never any real accountability when you listen to them speak. Somehow it always becomes the man's fault. And I find it hilarious because they leverage the benefits of the male gaze when men were actually looking at them, yet chastises the gaze when she can no longer benefit from it, as if men are her emotional jailers, right? And the unfortunate thing is that through their lack of accountability, this anti-male sentiment will then be offloaded to their daughters and then revolves the cycle.
Being 46 doesn't feel old and it doesn't feel young. It feels awake. It feels like somebody turned on the lights in a room that I have lived in forever. And I'm finally seeing things clearly. I don't have answers, but I got boundaries.
This is my violin.
And my maybe has become no. My I'm fine has become I ain't doing that. I don't feel old. I feel intentional. And intention feels better than youth ever did. Being single isn't about the loneliness. It's about being aware. It's knowing who I am now and what I'm not willing to carry into my next chapter. People will ask questions, and I think sometimes the answer of just I'm doing what feels right for me right now is the best dating status. It's the truth. Y'all, space is not emptiness. It is room. Room to breathe, room to think, room to return to myself without rushing into whatever's next. And it is the best feeling yet. Not having to check in on anybody, not having to answer to anybody, not having to share that with anybody. Anybody else should share the space of you doing what's right for you right now. And that's the truth. It's crazy how motherhood was never my plan, but it feels like it was written for me. Some days I'm really proud of the woman that Monica is helping me to become, and other days, you know, I grapple with some of the ways my life turned out. But then Monica will say something so brilliant and sensitive, and it'll make me realize that she chose me. No doubt, motherhood is messy. It's chaotic, it's messy, but it's also sacred. And in many ways, I'm discovering how motherhood saved me. All right, so here I am. I'm divorced. I'm 46. I'm single. And I have a toddler who teaches me more about myself than any adult ever has. I am not healed, but I am not defeated. I'm awake. And it's the best feeling in the world. I'm trusting the quiet around me. I'm building a life that is completely mine. I'm not perfect. I'm not polished. But I'm honest. This is me. This is me in the middle of becoming. It's not the before, it's not the after. And it is always trying and trying again. And somehow, this part of my life feels like the most honest I have ever seen.
I am so sorry. I could not take that anymore. My damn violin had to get active on this one. At the end of the day, no matter how much that she's painting, 46, single mom, 2X divorced. It cannot be a pleasant experience. She talked of the loneliness, which is different than solitude, right? Because solitude, you choose to be alone, whereas lonely is that it is not your choice. And through the way that this is painted, I still think about those viral clips of dark meat on the side, and as well as admissions to a toxic behavior. To all the young ladies that are listening to this right now, I'm sure I have at least 27 of y'all. Although I'm poking fun at some of the things that she is saying, I understand some of the things that she's saying for her age. And I also understand the difficulties within society today, because both sides of the coin are just dealing with modern ass times, and we are adjusting accordingly. But discovering at the age of 46 self-love is absurd to me. Hold a mirror up to y'all faces and figure out what is disabling you from attaining a man worth his weight in salt and eliciting actions that will make that man retain you. The funny thing is that all the information is available now online. Shit, I go over it on my content so often. But instead of watching my shit and how to figure out who men are and what men want, you'll watch shit like The Damn Real, which is really stupid. Do not align with delusion. Look at the consumer of your product and figure out, what are they buying? What are the behaviors? What are the actions, right? We talk about accountability, but do you really even know what that means? And it's best to do this when you're young, when you still have leverage, not when you've hit the wall and have 2 ex-husbands and a baby. And from all my G's out here, just understand that it is not incumbent on you to save them, to rescue them from whatever consequences or choices that they made earlier in life. Pay attention to their actions. Do not pay attention to their words. You can cross-reference their words, but always pay attention to their character. All right, guys, that's all I got for you here today. What is it that you think about the content? You agree with the things that I'm saying? Do you disagree with the things that I'm saying? Light up the comment section so I can understand what y'all think. But I'm out of here for right now. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me, and I'll see you soon. Peace.